He had one plan that day: pick up the bouquet, drop to one knee, and finally propose to the woman he had convinced himself was perfect. But love doesn't follow a schedule. And when Nathan Blake walked into that flower shop, he didn't find lilies. He found his past, and two little girls staring back, with eyes that mirrored his own. Nathan had always lived with precision, mornings scripted down to the minute, success measured in exit rounds and market caps. He wasn't the man who forgot things. And yet, somewhere along the way, he had forgotten her. Haley. The name hit his ribs like a punch as soon as he saw her. She wasn't supposed to be here. She wasn't supposed to be real. Not today. Not when everything was supposed to be perfect. He had met Christine 2 years ago at a tech gala in Manhattan. Elegant, refined. Her father owned 3 vineyards and a media conglomerate. Christine made sense. Haley had never made sense. But there she was, behind the wooden counter in an apron dusted with pollen, her hair tied back in a messy bun with a pencil behind her ear, and her voice calm, like she hadn't just shattered everything. "Can I help you?" she asked. Not cold, not kind, just professional. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. And then he heard it. "Mommy." 2 small voices echoed behind the cart of peonies. "We finished watering the fairy flowers." And when he turned, they came into view. 2 little girls, maybe 5 years old, blonde hair, blue eyes, matching white dresses now smudged with soil and joy. They looked like they had been playing in the garden all morning. They looked like him. Nathan Blake, the man who had always controlled the narrative, stood frozen in a flower shop, face to face with a story he hadn't written. And he knew it in that moment. He hadn't just walked into a store. He had walked into the life he left behind. The bouquet he had planned to buy no longer mattered. The woman waiting at the rooftop restaurant with candlelight and champagne no longer mattered. Because this mattered. Haley crouched next to the girls, touched both their foreheads with a tenderness that stabbed through Nathan's chest. She whispered something that made them giggle, and they vanished toward the back room again. He still hadn't said a word. He could feel the ring box heavy in his coat pocket, but it meant nothing now. "Still want the lilies?" Haley asked, walking toward the cooler. He nodded. It was all he could manage. She moved like she had done this 1,000 times. Wrapped the bouquet in brown paper, tied it with twine. When she handed it to him, their fingers touched. It felt electric. Then, gone. He stepped outside like a man stepping out of a dream. But it wasn't a dream. It was a consequence. He got into his car, looked at the ring again, but he never made it to dinner. That night, he didn't call Christine, didn't go home, didn't do anything except replay the moment again and again. Haley and the twins. Had she really not told him? Had she really raised them all alone? And why did they look so unmistakably like him? That night, he didn't sleep. He walked the city until sunrise. By morning, he was standing outside the flower shop again. But this time, he walked in with a question he couldn't outrun. Haley looked up as the bell chimed. "You came back." Not a question, just an observation. He nodded, eyes tired, voice cracked. "Can we talk?" She looked at the back door. 5 minutes. "I have deliveries soon." The back room smelled of soil and lavender, the walls lined with buckets of stems. But all Nathan could focus on was her. And what he had to ask, "Are they mine?" Haley didn't flinch, didn't fold her arms, didn't cry. She just nodded. Once. "They're yours." And Nathan Blake, who had once closed deals worth millions with a handshake, felt his knees almost buckle. He had 2 daughters, and he never even knew their names. "Their names are Lily and Sophie." Haley said it with a steadiness that almost masked the storm in her voice. Nathan repeated it under his breath like a prayer. "Lily and Sophie." It didn't feel real, but it did painfully unmistakably. He sat down slowly on the edge of a wooden crate, still staring at her like the walls had just shifted. "Why didn't you tell me?" Haley leaned back against the work table, her arms folded tight, not in anger, but in defense. "Tell you." She let out a hollow laugh. "Nathan, you disappeared. No note. No number. Not even goodbye." He opened his mouth, then shut it again, because she was right. He had left when things got complicated, when love started feeling like a future instead of a fling. "I told myself you'd come back," Haley said, her voice quieter now, but days turned to months. Then a year. "I realized I could either wait for you or build a life without you." She looked away for the first time. "So I built one." Nathan stared at the floor, the weight of 5 years hitting like waves. I was scared. She didn't respond, but he could feel it, the air shift, the wall crack. I still am, he added, more to himself than her. Haley straightened. You don't get to be scared now. They're 5. They know nothing about you. Not your name. Not your face. You were just a stranger buying lilies yesterday. That word stranger. It carved straight through him. But I want to know them. Haley studied him, her eyes sharp and tired all at once. Don't say that unless you mean it. I do. Then prove it. Before he could answer, tiny footsteps echoed in the hall, and Sophie peeked around the doorframe. Mommy, the delivery truck is here. Haley turned, coming. Nathan stood, half hoping for another word, a permission, a promise. But all she said was, we'll see. And with that, she was gone. The door clicked shut, but something inside Nathan had opened. He had 2 daughters, and for the first time in his life, he wasn't sure how to be the man they needed. He didn't go to work that day, didn't check emails or answer calls. He sat in his car across the street, watching the flower shop from behind the wheel. At one point, the girls stepped outside with Haley, one on each hand. Lily skipped, Sophie spun in circles. Nathan didn't know which one was which yet, but he could already see their differences and their sameness. Haley carried herself like someone who had done it all without applause. She wasn't hardened, just weathered, grace in motion. He watched until they vanished from sight. And that night, he came back. He bought another bouquet, didn't say much. Haley wrapped it quietly, no questions, no softness. But she didn't ask him to leave. He came again 2 days later, asked about orchids. This time, she pointed, he followed. The girls came out mid-conversation. He saw the way Sophie tugged on Haley's apron, the way Lily clung to her leg. They didn't notice him, not yet. But he noticed everything. How one liked to hum while she worked, how the other whispered secrets to the plants. By the 5th visit, Sophie walked right up to him. Why do you keep coming back? Her voice was small but curious. Nathan crouched down, met her eyes. Because I like flowers. She squinted. You don't look like a flower person. What do flower people look like? She thought for a moment, then grinned, like Mommy. That night, Haley didn't smile, but she offered him tea. And Nathan knew he wasn't a stranger anymore. He was becoming something else. He just didn't know what yet. He was becoming something else. He just didn't know what yet. Nathan started showing up, even when he had no excuse. He brought coffee in the mornings and waited on the bench outside until the shop opened. Sometimes he helped carry deliveries. Sometimes he didn't say a word. But she said nothing. I stopped for lilies. He added, for Christine. Haley blinked, then slowly nodded. And now, I haven't spoken to her since. Why? Because I saw you. His voice broke a little. And them. The silence was thick, but not angry. Haley looked down at the keys in her hand. They don't know who you are? I know. They will ask soon. I'll wait until you're ready. What if I never am? Then I'll still be here. Her eyes snapped to his. Searching, reading, measuring. And for the first time, she didn't tell him to go. The next week, he came every morning, helped stock the fridge, wiped the windows. He learned how to wrap stems in brown paper just the way Haley liked. Not too tight, not too loose. Sophie drew him pictures now. Lily asked him to read storybooks in the afternoon. One day, Lily fell and scraped her knee on the delivery ramp. Nathan scooped her up before Haley even noticed. He cleaned it, bandaged it, and told her a story about how brave flower fairies don't cry. Haley watched from a distance, her face unreadable. That night, she finally asked the question he'd been expecting. What do you want from all this, Nathan? He took a breath. I want to be their father, not just in biology, in real life. You missed 5 years. I know. You can't erase that. I don't want to erase anything. I just want to start from here. She hesitated. If they fall in love with you, she said slowly, and you leave again. I won't. You did once. But I came back. Not because life brought me here. Because I couldn't stay away. She didn't answer, but she didn't close the door either. And that night, he sat outside the shop long after they turned off the lights. The next morning, a note was taped to the front door. You can come early if you want. We could use help lifting the crates. No name, no signature, but it didn't need one. He smiled and waited for the sun to rise. He smiled and waited for the sun to rise. The door unlocked at 6 sharp, and this time, she didn't just let him in, she held it open. Haley didn't speak much that morning, but her silence didn't feel like distance anymore. It felt like trust beginning to take shape. Nathan lifted crates without being asked, swept the sidewalk before customers arrived, tied ribbons on rose stems, while the girls colored in the back. It was ordinary, it was everything he had once walked away from. Around noon, Lily tugged his sleeve and asked if he wanted to come to her birthday next week. He didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Haley looked over and didn't say no. The girls still didn't know not the whole truth, but maybe they felt that some truths didn't need telling to be known. That afternoon, Haley sat with him on the delivery bench, a quiet space between orders. "I dreamed once that you came back," she said, "but in the dream, you didn't stay." Nathan turned to her. "This isn't a dream, and I'm not leaving." She nodded slowly, still unsure, but not closed off. "If I tell them," she whispered, "if I let them know you're their father, only if you're ready. I don't know if I'll ever be ready. Then let me just keep showing up." Her voice broke just a little. "What if they ask why you weren't there?" He looked at her, honest, exposed. "Then I'll tell them the truth." She didn't reply, just leaned back, exhaled, and let the silence answer for her. When the girls came running out with drawings in hand, they placed one in his lap. It was 4 stick figures, 2 small girls, 1 woman, 1 man, with yellow hair and a crooked smile. Above it, a word spelled out in shaky crayon. "Family." Nathan looked up, eyes stinging, voice gone. And Haley, for the first time, smiled fully. The kind of smile people only give when they finally believe something could be real again.